And we are live, the SMT Podcast, a very special edition of the show. I have with me a guest that you all probably might even know. All right, we got Stetson, man. Stetson, good to have you, bro. Thanks for coming on. Excited
Thank
about the
you.
show today.
Yeah, thank
Go
you for
ahead and
having me.
why don't you go ahead and tell everybody what you do in case they don't know who you are. But something tells me that there are a handful of people in the live chat right now that do know you. They recognize your face. They know your channel, but go ahead and let them know, about your channel. I'm going to put up your channel art and
Sweet.
like the page that they could view.
Okay, sweet. That's awesome. Yeah, so my name is Stetson. I basically sign up for and review cell phone plans on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Stetson Doggett. My whole goal is basically to help people kind of find an affordable cell phone plan to meet their needs, to help reduce their cell phone bill. So I test all the different prepaid carriers you hear of, but you may not know if they're good or not. Mint Mobile, Tello, US Mobile, things like that. And I try and highlight the best plans. And the other big thing I do is I personally, like when you're trying to compare cell phone plans, it's so hard to understand what features are supported. Something as basic as like the hotspot, like how
Yeah.
much do you get? When does it shut
Hmm.
off? So I built bestphoneplans.net just to complement the YouTube channel and provide additional information. But yeah, I think that's what I do. I review cell phone plans.
Yeah.
I try and help people save money, and
Hmm.
for some people, that's going with a prepaid carrier. For others, that's maybe a family plan on one of the major providers. But
Yeah. I'd say that's a pretty good description of what you do. You try to help people save money. And part of that's informing them about things that they don't even know exist.
yeah,
So do they even know that there are more than the big three, right? So AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. We were kind of talking about that a little bit backstage, actually.
yeah,
And
exactly.
there's different types of prepaid. There's MVNO, then there's like prepaid proper, like T-Mobile prepaid, and then there's Metro by T-Mobile, and then there's Mint Mobile, right? And all of them use the T-Mobile network, but all of them have different plans and access and features and different pricing. So that's what you do, man, and you're really good at it. So I do want to celebrate that. I do want to say that on YouTube as a creator, you've carved yourself out a very credible niche where if somebody wants to know more about these prepaid options, they can start and end with Stetson. So you cover a lot. And the fact that you purchased a plan, right? You try it, you
Yep.
review the service, and you put it all out there. And I think as a consumer advocate, you definitely qualify as a voice of or as an authority on prepaid. I think you've tried pretty much everything that's out there,
I
right?
appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, one of my goals is I feel like a barrier to some people is like how do you switch? How do you even sign up? It's not like you can go to the store and buy a new product. Like you have to actually go through this process and transfer your number. So anytime I try a new carrier, I typically like to do a review video of the service and experience, and then a how to sign up video, just so if people are interested, they can, follow a step-by-step guide on exactly what you need to do to get activated, to keep your existing phone number, and to hopefully switch to a more affordable plan that meets their needs. So I definitely try and make it all encompassing to the best of my ability.
What's the first video that somebody should watch on your channel as like a way to kind of break the seal and just kind of get into the content?
I think probably the one video featured there, best cell phone plans 2020,
Hmm.
and it's a little bit of a longer video. The
Sure.
the first part I think does a good job kind of breaking down the structure of the wireless industry in the United States. What I first talk about is how there were four networks. Now
Hmm.
there are three-ish. It's kind of a gray area with Sprint T-Mobile right now, but
Right.
I outline there are the four networks. Everything you sign up for is going to be using one of those networks, and these are going to be the different options. One thing I think I would like to talk more about is getting the unlocked phone, because that's something I've started to take for granted. I purchase all my devices unlocked up
Hmm.
front, but I know a lot of people are really interested in financing their phones, but kind of breaking down that price. Whereas if you purchase up front, get a cheaper plan, it's more affordable in the long run. And some carriers are now starting to let you finance. I think Mint is doing the $15 for the iPhone SE, and I'm sure there's going to be like a bunch more deals
Sure.
going forward with that.
Yeah, people do tend to choose a carrier based on a phone promotion.
Yeah,
It's not
I
always
think
about
that's
the
weird,
plan. Yeah.
but I don't know, like, what's your take? Like, who are you using? Are we allowed to talk about that?
Sure, absolutely. I use them all.
Yeah, are you
I
signed up
use
for everything right
I,
now?
I I use every major wireless provider that you can have. So, and I
Wow.
even have multiple lines with a certain provider because of the different access.
Yeah.
So, I have a 2005 Verizon Unlimited plan,
Stop.
right? I have one of those. Carlos has an account that's goes way back, and I
Wow.
have a line through him. I have a 2017 new Verizon Unlimited plan. I don't have any of the new ones, but I have a line with Visible.
Yep.
I have a line with AT&T Elite, which is their highest
Yep.
end
That's the
priority,
premium one.
and I have a T-Mobile Magenta business line. So I've tried to position myself through, friends and family, and like having access to, and just to test, right? And then
Yeah.
compare the access, because that's also important too. Right.
That's
So if we're going
huge.
to talk about network experience, that does matter.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something I wish I had gotten more into. Like, I've always pretty much always been on prepaid. Like, I switched to Cricket way back in 2014, I want to say. And so I've just been riding this prepaid wave,
Hmm.
not really noticing the difference. But now that I think Visible is probably the first carrier where priority suddenly made a huge difference on the impact of the service. And I'm sure you've seen this, like with your
Yeah.
postpaid Verizon plans versus Visible, you can get slowed down quite a bit.
It really does depend on tower sites, and it
Yeah.
depends on the market. I think more specifically, I'm in one of the stronger markets. I'm in the CLE, and here Verizon has a huge market share, but they have built out the network as, I mean, literally a tower site like every mile and a half. And
That's
there are
crazy.
small cells everywhere. So there's almost no congestion, because it's just like everybody's spread out on all these towers,
Yeah.
right? It's not like 10,000 people on a single tower. So they've done it big here. And the same thing could be said about AT&T. It's very good here. T-Mobile's usually very good here too, but I have certain issue with certain types of access on T-Mobile's network, like uplink issues. I can't live stream from it. There's certain things I can't do that
Oh,
I've tested and stuff. So like that's something that I always offer in my insight is you really have to think, what am I doing with my LTE? What am I doing with my wireless that,
yeah.
like you talk about Cricket. Cricket can work for a lot of people, and it could save a lot of people money. But if I'm stuck at a certain threshold of speed and I'm trying to upload a YouTube video, it might take me 2 hours if I'm
Absolutely.
getting 3 megabits per second on the uplink on a certain Cricket plan,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So all these factors come into play. And that's why I do watch people like Stetson. I'm looking to try to understand and see, like your US mobile video was fantastic. Dude, I watched that thing. I'm like, man, I even forgot that was a company that offered service. And then it all started coming back, right? Like Verizon Access. And then I started looking at all the options. I didn't even know they were doing that special tethering offer, right? And it was great. And that's why I always say to people, like, if you're not actively shopping for your plans, you may be missing out on some great deals.
Yeah, it's true. It's
you
true.
know so and that kind of takes us to this next piece. Now that we've talked a little bit about the channels and what we do as a content creator in terms of making the videos,
Yeah.
typically what is your workflow, man? Like, how much work goes into creating a video?
All right, so I guess the big video for me every year is best cell phone plans of that year, whatever it
Mhm.
is. The only way I could wrap my head around this industry is, for me personally, I needed a spreadsheet. So, like 2 years ago or whatever, I made a spreadsheet. I shared it on Reddit. It was in Google Sheets, and it was okay. It was it was a bear to update and maintain. So I've recently switched over to Airtable for that.
Nice.
Uh, and these you can find on the no contract subreddit. And I probably need to update it soon with the new plans we just got. But basically, I will spend hours researching all the different options. And I typically shoot for like best price to performance with
Hmm.
a carrier that I've tried personally or has reasonable reviews online. And that's how I kind of pick the recommendations, like best value, reasonable reviews. So even if I haven't tried them personally yet, I'm okay typically recommending them. But after I do all this research, I build out the graphics, the presentation, the complementary material that I want. I write a lot of scripts, and even if it's not fully scripted, I'll bullet point out the topics that I want to make sure I mention.
Sure.
And then I'll go from there. So it does vary a lot from video to videos. I'm sure, like if you're doing a live speed test on different sites, like you're going out there and you're recording it. And so for the big videos, they take a lot of research.
Yeah.
The review videos take a decent amount of time because you have to travel out, use the wireless carrier for, I want to say like at least a week, I feel like, to kind of get the kinks out.
Yeah.
The networks are like the same. So it's kind of weird where you're getting the same experience, but under a different brand, but the application could be different. The account management could be different.
Yeah.
And like understanding those nuances is important, I think, if you're choosing a provider. So it's basically a lot of research. Then I use Keynote to create all my graphics. If anyone's ever wondered like where those animations come from, I saw a Jonathan Morrison video years ago, and it was like, yeah, you can just use Keynote to build in these animations. And I was like, wow, that's great.
That's awesome.
I used to screen record the Keynote presentation until one of my friends at college was like, you can just export that as a video.
I was gonna say as the
blew my mind.
I know.
Blew my mind.
Right.
And so I've been doing that, and it's a lot of research and a lot of time goes into it. And I try and make it sound easy and understandable. But I think anyone who's a content creator knows that the art of making content is making it look easy, and so much more time and energy and effort goes into it.
Yeah. I try to minimize my workflow. I want the minimalistic approach.
Yeah.
There's just too much going on in my life.
Yeah.
I have 2 more classes to finish my master's program. I am a school teacher. I teach high school science. I have a part-time job. I also do repairs on iPhones.
Wow.
Like I have a family, I'm married. I have a daughter. Like there's so much that goes into life, and then things happen in life. Things come up. So there's all this going on, and somehow I'm trying to fit YouTube in all of this.
That's amazing.
Right?
Like you never know what I didn't know that, but that's incredible. I'm blown away you're able to keep up with this.
It's hard.
What I love about your content is you're always so on time. Like there's a new change with T-Mobile or Verizon, like Verizon's hotspot plans. I found that out from you, like your channel, and watching like, all right, the new wording here, these new plans, 5G could be coming. So I love that you have this minimalistic approach and you're able to stay so on top of it. I think that's absolutely incredible.
I really actually enjoy the videos that I make, like the field testing ones.
Yeah,
those are some of my favorites because I go and I'm on a mission.
Yeah,
right. I'm gonna go test I actually have to find sites, right?
Dude,
because there's certain sites that do specific things, right? Like millimeter wave is one of those technologies where it's literally like it's not a tower site that projects like 3 miles.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of go snooping around, and you don't know what you're looking for. Sometimes it's really confusing. These CRAN sites for AT&T, I go looking for those. That stuff can take me weeks of research, emailing people, trying to get answers from the carriers. Sometimes they don't want to talk to you. They think you're up to no good. You're trying to, dig up dirt on them. Like, seriously, bro, they just assume the worst.
It's so true.
I know, man.
Sometimes they're so unhelpful too. Like just a small tangent. I had gotten the new S20 Plus 5G, and I was like, sick. Verizon millimeter wave, here I come.
Yeah.
And so I bought it unlocked. I got the plan. I signed up at the store. I was like, this is going to work with 5G, right? And the guy's like, yeah, it'll work. Go out on site, doesn't work. I'm messaging support on site, and they're like, you're not in a coverage area. And and it's like I sent them screenshots. It was frustrating for me. And I'd be curious to hear your experience on this, but it turned out for my end, they needed a 5G SIM card, and they had to like somehow enable it on the back end. And I think bringing my own device is what ended up causing those problems.
Wow.
But yeah, I had to drive like 30 minutes into Boston for that. So I definitely get like hunting around for sites. It's a real thing. It's a real thing.
For now, because millimeter wave is it's a very early stage, infancy stage of the technology. And it's not easy to connect to something that is so limited in its availability, right? So the millimeter wave nodes are very targeted and they're very directional. Unlike a traditional macro site, right? These huge towers that literally are designed to project outward to reach hundreds, if not thousands of people. So and they're designed to do different things. One's 100% for capacity, right? The other one is and for specific locations. Like you would put millimeter wave nodes in front of arenas and concerts, right? You would put millimeter wave nodes in universities, right? Everybody's on Snapchat. You know, that would make total sense.
They need it.
Exactly. But you wouldn't put millimeter wave in the middle of a cornfield, you know, where there's like a barn 2 miles down that way. And then
those
some other
people would be so happy though.
They would, but it's unrealistic and
Absolutely.
it just wouldn't make business sense, you know? So yeah, they each have their place. And you learned the hard way on millimeter wave is that, you know, it's Boston does have it, right? That is a market that has it.
It's so weird, the layout, but it has it. It's there.
So you saw the little thing on the pole with the 3 sectors, those 3 little antenna and radios and stuff. And what were your speeds, dude?
I think I hit gigabit per second like for 1 or 2 tests. Most of them, it was raining outside at the time, so I stayed in the car and I probably averaged like in the 800s, I want to say.
Yeah.
But when I connected and that first test, I was like, whoa.
Like, what is this? Like, we're in the future.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's a cool technology. It is cool.
It was so sick. And then I noticed from my end, like if the phone was behind the car door, it would drop to like 400 or sometimes even disconnect entirely.
Yeah. Go to LTE. Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, if you get it, the technology is super cool. I don't know, like, do you wish Verizon had held off on like releasing that technology until it was more widely available? Or I don't know, like, what's your thought on their approach to this?
Actually, with Verizon, they've been purchasing millimeter wave spectrum from the FCC, you know, on auction for the last couple of years. There have been no other forms of spectrum being auctioned. So what are you to do if you're a wireless provider and you need spectrum? You purchase what's available. So they literally spent billions of dollars on this, and eventually you have to deploy it. I mean, you eventually every carrier will do this technology. This is the future of wireless. People don't understand it completely, so they try to poo-poo it. But in reality, millimeter wave is the most important thing to the future of networks because it will widen these channels of connectivity. Like take T-Mobile, for example. They have a 5 megahertz channel of band 71 5G. That's helping no one. That's giving you an icon on your phone. Oh, cool. It says 5G. But then you connect to it and you're getting 1 megabit per second because you're sharing 5 megahertz of spectrum with hundreds of people on that tower site. Then you have millimeter wave, which they only come in 100 megahertz frequency bandwidth, right? That's huge. So we're talking about 20 times the bandwidth, right? That means it should be technically 20 times faster, right? Way more capacity. Now multiply that by 4 for 4 channels, 400 megahertz. And in some markets, Verizon has 800 megahertz of it. Now multiply that by 8, right? So we're talking about the future of network capacity lies in this technology that's just brand new. That's all it is. Now in Cleveland, it's awesome. It works indoors. It works in cars. It works. You don't even need line of sight. You remember how you had to be right there in front of it?
I think I could see the antenna. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to in Boston because they just installed it. They're running some of the older technology, like year 1 technology. In the CLE, we're on our 3rd upgrade. So they've already done an update. They've already done wire changes and fiber upgrades, and they've changed out the antennas. So it's like generation 3 for me, right? Wow. So when I connect to it, it's 1.5 gigs per second every time. When I'm driving by, I'm connecting. When I'm standing inside the bakery, my dad has a bakery, I'm connecting to it, you know, and I don't even know where the node is. I don't even see it, right? So that's why I try to explain to people, you have a lot of misconceptions that are their preconceived notions about the textbook definition of what millimeter wave is, but Verizon's rewriting the book on it. The technology is improving, you know?
Sure. Yeah. I guess, I don't know. I think they have such a powerful technology. And I think the way that other people are interpreting it is that it's just so limited in functionality. And I know like Linus Tech Tips, I think T-Mobile, what happened is T-Mobile sponsored Linus Tech Tips.
Yeah.
And so he was showing like 5G dropped so quickly on Verizon, but it's just that specific area, that node, like that scenario. And while it is a limitation of 5G, like the upsides of the bandwidth capacity, the low latency, there's just so much there that they didn't really talk about. So like, I almost wish Verizon just had this millimeter wave network ready to go. So like full city blocks could be lit up all at once. I think that would have been just so awesome.
Yeah, but that would involve...
That would be like 10 years from now.
But it would be an instantaneous deployment of $100 billion.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of just doing it, sequentially, kind of in a process of, we're going to continue to add markets. Right. Then that's what wireless providers do. They upgrade cities and markets, one at a time.
Makes sense.
Big shout out to Cesar. Thank you for the super chat. He says, which plan do you recommend for Verizon? Top priority network access. And after 50 gigs, top priority data. Will Verizon slow data down in your experience? I will say that when it comes to top priority network, any of the top three seem to have pretty good priority. So the get more, the play more, the do more, those seem to be pretty much the three that have really good priority. The starter unlimited, right? So like the entry level plan, pretty low priority. But here's the thing. It's market dependent, very market dependent, because if you go to like rootmetrics.com and you look at Verizon's performance metrics and network speed, that'll give you an idea of how good Verizon is in that city. And that will kind of give you an idea of what you can expect in that experience. So I use Visible along with Verizon. I can run a speed test right now. I have the highest priority Verizon plan outside of a first responder line. That's the only person who's getting higher priority than me. And I will get 150 megs on Verizon, and I will get 110 megs on Visible. I mean, I know there's a priority difference there, but I mean, we're splitting hairs. Stetson, are you gonna kick that phone to the ground because it's only getting 110?
No, those are incredible. I mean, people get slower speeds for home internet. Like anyone would love to have that.
Right.
So I guess my take on this question is I would probably opt for the get more personally, because that's where you're getting Apple Music included, and you're also getting the Disney Plus bundle included as well. Whereas with
tons of perks.
Yeah, with the other plans, sometimes you're getting the 6-month trials for either of those. And so I think having everything bundled together is it's going to be the slightly better value. That's my take, but
that's the move. I agree.
If you're going priority, you might as well go for the best one out there.
Sure. Jarcoen, thanks for the super chat. He's a big Stetson fan. Stetson, you the man, bruh.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, man. There was another thing that I wanted to bring up here, and it was going to be one of our talking points, was in looking specifically at MVNO and prepaid, because that is such a big focus on your channel. And a lot of people don't even know this, right? So prepaid is an entire segment of wireless, right? So it's anybody who pays for their service first and then gets the service. Right. There's no credit checks involved in most cases. It's non-committal, right? It's month to month. It's what you want to do. You get that freedom. You kind of come and go as you please. With that, you lose some features. Like there are some postpaid perks, right, that are unique, but they do run your credit, and they are typically more expensive unless you go with a family plan, right? So single line, and so there's all these factors. But then there's MVNO, which is often companies that have absolutely nothing to do with the network operator, operating completely independently on their own. And I'll kind of give a couple examples. Mint Mobile. Right. I call it the Ryan Reynolds network. All right. So Deadpool got his own cell phone company. it like when we look at like Mint Mobile and we look at Track Phone,
Yeah.
right, who works with all the providers, really, right? What is it about the MVNO that and the prepaid too that actually shows a more competitive marketplace than postpaid?
Yeah, for me it comes down to the pricing. And you see this with pretty much all of both prepaid carriers and MVNOs. MVNOs typically a little bit more so, but they're just able to deliver much better prices. The compromises, you're losing postpaid priority data, you're losing some of the included perks. Customer service is going to be hit or miss
Right.
pretty much no matter what. But yeah, I think what I love about, for example, Mint started out when they launched, they were doing online only bulk plan prices. And that might have been one of the first times we saw that. Maybe Red Pocket was doing like
Yeah, they
60-day
were.
or 90-day
Right.
day renewal cards too. But Mint started that. And most recently, AT&T Prepaid is doing that. And I love to see those options because all of a sudden, I think the carriers are reducing the churn rate of their subscribers while also delivering a tremendous value for people who are willing to pay upfront for their service. But yeah, I think for most of these, it's just the fact they're online only. They don't have the physical storefront, so they're saving on all those upfront costs, and they're choosing to pass on the costs or the cost savings to the consumer, so they can stand out and kind of create their own space in what is, quite frankly, an overcrowded industry at this point.
It is. I agree. Yeah.
But yeah,
There's, I don't know. I could probably name 5 or 10 MVNOs of AT&T.
yep.
Right. I could probably name 5 to 10 on T-Mobile. I could go back and tell you all about the Sprint MVNOs of the last decade. I mean, it just goes on and on. Republic Wireless and Boost and all this, and Verizon as well. Page Plus and Visible, and there's so much out there. And for anybody who's looking to save money and is a single line or maybe even 2 lines,
Yeah.
prepaid and MVNO can do that for you and still give you a decent experience as long as you know how to navigate the waters.
Yeah.
Right. So you got to be comfortable with the format, right?
I think the big thing is you want to have your phone unlocked. You can't have it tied to any carrier contract, and you want to make sure it's compatible with all the networks.
Mhm.
So I've really liked what Apple did with their iPhones. I think way back since the like 6 or maybe even the 6S and later, they just pretty much all worked on all networks when you bought them unlocked.
It was the
Is it even
man, what
earlier?
was it? I think it was yeah, remember when it was the AT&T exclusive?
That when it first
So
launched. Yeah, I think
I think the first few generations were AT&T only, and if you were buying it, you were buying it from them,
yeah.
and it was like, dang, man. And then Apple stores became a thing,
Yep.
right? And then you were able to get the unlocked models probably around the 4 or 4S. I know that I bought my dad a 4S from Verizon back in the day.
Interesting.
So I know that one for sure, but I can't say if it was the 4. Because remember, they started doing the whole Siri thing, right? About that time, the S. So a lot of people don't know the S comes from Siri being introduced in that like mid-cycle thing that they do, the tick and the talk or whatever they call it. So yeah, but the unlocked, I mean, the freedom.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh yeah, the
I
SIM's
remember
going in and out.
saving up so much money to get. I got the iPhone 5, and
Wow.
the reason I bring up the later iPhones is the iPhone 5. You went in, you had to choose unlocked CDMA or unlocked GSM,
That
and
is
I was
true.
on T-Mobile prepaid at the time. It was on a $15 a month plan, unlimited talk and text. No, unlimited text and pay as you go for minutes.
Huh.
Way back in the day. But yeah, once you have your phone, and that is a huge upfront cost. And I think we're seeing really great used markets right now. I remember Travis from Travis MCP. He just did a Note 20. He bought it from Amazon Renewed, and it was already like $200 off. So I think Amazon Renewed. I'm a big fan of Swap. I use them
Best Buy
for.
open box.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Amazon. Yeah.
so you can start to get really nice flagship quality phones, even if they're a year or two old, for great value. Pair that with one of these prepaid or MVNO plans, and all of a sudden, instead of spending $1,000 on a phone and $80 a month on service, you're spending $400 on a phone and like $300 for the year on service, something like that.
In terms of the let's take a look specifically at some wireless stuff. So
Sure.
T-Mobile and Sprint merged. I
Yeah.
followed the situation very closely. I documented a lot of the stuff on my channel, tons of news coverage and all this other stuff going on as the new company kind of molds itself as what type of carrier it's going to be. One of the things that is going to greatly be impacted by this deal is the fact that since Sprint and T-Mobile are no longer operating separately, it changes the competitive dynamic both in wholesale, which would go to like MVNOs and prepaid, and also in postpaid, because now there's one less carrier. And a lot of market share has shifted over to T-Mobile now, right? You think about all the prepaid customers that they take on and the network strain. And then you look at all the customers that are Sprint customers that are still, T-Mobile customers, unless they decided to go elsewhere, right? All these things going on. What do you think this does in terms of pricing, features, value, amongst all of your coverage?
I think from my standpoint, a couple years ago when I first reviewed Google Feye it was the Nexus 5X, I think it was, that had T-Mobile and Sprint together. And
It
I
did?
actually, yeah, so the Google Feye was one of the few, if perhaps the only one I remember at the time at least, that the phone would dynamically switch between
Yeah.
Sprint, T-Mobile, and US Cellular. And when I tested that out, I had tried Sprint before. It was absolute garbage in the area I lived at home. Like, yeah, you could get good speeds in like a couple spots, but in the areas you needed it at my high school and other locations, it was forget it.
Yeah.
But when you had that ability to switch to T-Mobile, all of a sudden it was actually quite good. And
Yeah.
so from back in the time, I wanted Sprint and T-Mobile to merge because I thought their combined coverage could battle or better compete with
Mm.
what AT&T and Verizon were doing because their networks were absolute top. And I think they still are some of the best coverage. I think, was it Root Metrics or Ookla? They just released their speed reports, and I think Verizon, AT&T are still dominating there.
They
In
are.
terms
Yeah.
in terms of the competitive landscape, I think the fear is that prices rise. I'm optimistic. Maybe I'm overly optimistic, but I think T-Mobile has decided to keep prices the same or better for at least 3 years, and I think this will be true. I think the structure of the plans will possibly change in terms of the amount of priority data that's included and the different price points that those become accessible at. But yeah, I don't know. Like, what do you think? Do you think they will increase the prices? I mean, it makes obvious sense. Like Netflix, for example, they increased their plan by like a couple bucks a month, and yeah, everyone got angry about it, but ultimately people just stayed with Netflix. So
Yeah.
if T-Mobile were to do that, I don't think people would end up like they're not going to switch. So
It's true. So when there's not new competitors coming to the marketplace, then there's no fire to have to change, pivot, adjust, jockey for market share, compete for the dollars.
yeah,
So they consumed a carrier. So they eliminated a competitor, right? And then by doing that, they accomplished so many different things. They eliminated a competitor. They added a huge market share boost, right? So Sprint had like 50 plus million subscribers. They get them. That's revenue.
yep,
And they also get this really important mid-band spectrum for their network, right? Sprint has like 160 megahertz of
yeah,
2.5 gigahertz spectrum, which is 5G gold. It is going to
perfect.
enable them to compete, right? So they checked off so many items off their list, right, with this merger. And inevitably, we are going to see competition issues, and we've already seen it. Boost Mobile, now being owned and operated by Dish,
What is
has
going to happen with that? My goodness.
they've gone from Boost Mobile has gone from fighting, literally being next door to Metro,
Yep.
right? They've gone from fighting for business to now creating a different type of consumer service. They traditionally were offering unlimited data plans,
Yeah.
which were like the closest thing you get to real unlimited, right? So they give you this soft cap, this threshold where after this point, You
I think it
get
was
slowed
30,
down,
35 gigs. Yeah.
but you get slowed down during times of congestion, which means that it restores to normal speed once the towers are alleviated of the congestion. Well, now once you hit the 35, you're put to 2G,
Yeah.
which is unusable. So and the reason for that is Dish does not own its network. It's getting it from T-Mobile, so they have to pay for that access. So what they did was they're saving money. They went from, probably having to pay about $38 or $40, maybe more. Maybe they're paying $45 to make that $60 plan, which means they were only making about $15 a month profit.
Yep.
They actually probably took a plan down to $27 a month wholesale. So now they're making 17 or something like that. So it was really about dollars and cents. How do we get more money per customer? But that doesn't help the customer.
I think that's a really good point. And I noticed this. So I did a Boost Mobile Explain video, and I talked exactly about this with Dish. Like suddenly Dish is paying. That's why the plans have that 35 gig cap now. And many people are commenting like the plans they're not good anymore. I think from what I saw, so Mint Mobile, they just announced their unlimited plan. Interestingly, also with 35 gigs. So I think Dish was anticipating 35 gigs to be about the sweet spot where most people wouldn't notice or would be willing to stick with the service. But for those people who it did affect, plans went from being great to absolutely unusable. And yeah, that's a huge disappointment. And I do hope Dish is able to bring more to the market when they build up their network infrastructure, and that when Boost Mobile is able to use the Dish network for coverage instead of relying on T-Mobile right now. But yeah, for the time being, Dish took a hit, and Boost Mobile is just not what it used to be.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a new type of customer that Dish is focusing on, those that are content with the 35 gigs of access,
Yeah.
because essentially after that, it's done.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi will be your only savior,
so
because
true.
they're going to make you pay per gig after that.
It's awful. It's
Yeah.
awful. I when I road tripped out here, I used up all my data for podcasts. And so when I arrived, my Mint Mobile plan was on unlimited 2G, and you can't. iMessage was the only thing that functioned.
That's we're talking about the most inconsequential amounts of data that needs to be sent in a message. It's just text. All right. So you're not transmitting even an email, right? There's no attachments. There's
nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. So I think there's we're going to watch the marketplace shift a little bit, because at the same time, the pandemic also created a more cost sensitive consumer. A larger number of people have probably pivoted to prepaid to save money, where normally they were able to finance their flagship phone with their carrier, get the postpaid service for all the access and all that. And now they can't afford $100 a month, right? So they're going to look for an unlimited plan that's prepaid. And some people even defaulted on their payments.
Yeah.
They're called involuntary disconnects. They literally didn't want to, but they don't have the money anymore. Right. So it sucks. But I've seen a bit of a renaissance in prepaid, because I've seen an uptick of users and churn rates at the postpaid side, and users switching over to prepaid. And it's at Metro and Boost and Cricket and Visible, and they started advertising more. So that helps too.
Yeah.
We're seeing Visible more than ever. We're seeing Cricket more than ever,
Yeah, I think that's absolutely correct. And I think for a lot of people, it makes sense. Like, you're able to save money and get similar service, and that's what my channel is all about. So if you're able to find a plan that works for you, that's great. I think one thing I dislike, airing of grievances, but I dislike with postpaid, you have to like call them to cancel your plan. You can't just like not pay your bill. Like, they will continue billing you indefinitely until you call and cancel. I love prepaid, where it's just, you don't pay, you don't get service. I don't have to think about it or worry about it. I love that.
That is true. They will, because they have your social security number.
Yep.
So they will be charging you until Well, I don't know, man. They'll probably give you a few months without payment. I don't know. I think that's the case, and they'll be like, "Hey, you owe us $1,000."
Yeah,
You know, we'd be like, "Whoa, I thought we disconnected there." But yeah, you got to call them up. That's true.
it's true.
Otherwise, you basically your service expires on prepaid.
Yeah,
It's like,
I mean, I love that. That's so helpful for me, but for
Mhm.
other people, yeah, it's different depending on what your needs are.
Cesar, thanks for the super chat, buddy. When will Verizon prepaid receive 5G millimeter wave access? I don't know, man. It would be nice to see that go to the prepaid side. I mean, why not? How does that hurt anybody? If
Yeah,
anything, it's going to help with LTE in that some users can temporarily get off of that that network slice. So I'm all for that happening right now. I think it should have happened yesterday, in my opinion. So my take.
here's my take. I think Verizon was trying to market 5G as a premium service. You
Yeah,
saw it listed as a $10 add-on. It's
sure.
still a $10 add-on, I think, for their start unlimited plan.
It's
Uh,
it's it's available on the higher end plans, and if you have an older plan, you can add it on for $10.
So that to me blows my mind because really exactly what you said, you want it available to everyone because not only does it make those people happy who can get 5G access,
Mhm.
but it increases the capacity on LTE with all those
Yes.
users switching over. So it's like it's a win-win-win all around.
Yeah, I'm a little confused. That's one of those things for a carrier who has the least amount of spectrum
Yeah.
compared to say T-Mobile and AT&T, which are both strategically placed very well. They have a lot of spectrum. Verizon is they're squeezing the life out of their spectrum. I often joke and say they're milking ants. You know what? Like there's nothing left. Like you're squeezing the lemons for the third time, fourth
Yeah.
time. There's no juice left. But I'm okay with that. They're doing the best that they can with what they have until more of the spectrum, comes to market, which it just did. There was an auction in June, and Verizon did go big in certain markets where the squeeze is on them. And they have a lot of users, Stetson. They got a lot
Yeah.
of customers, right? That's a big time company with a big time network. Ask truckers who their provider is. You're
It's
going to
gotta
get
be.
Verizon
Yep.
90% of the time,
You
you
gotta
know?
have it for that.
Yeah.
Um,
You'll get AT&T too, but for the most part it's a travelers typically use Verizon,
yep.
and they trust that the network's going to be there when they need it.
I think to try and more specifically answer Cesar's question, I'm gonna try and guess, and I think it's gonna need to be when there's a marketing something related to marketing has to happen. So I'm gonna say either earliest holiday 2020, maybe December, because we saw US Mobile promoting Verizon 5G access slated for July. That didn't happen, but I could still see it by the end of the year for US Mobile. And if they're able to do it, then I think Verizon Prepaid's not far behind. Um, I'll say next year, July 2021. That's what I'm going to take a stab in the dark, and that's what I'm going for.
I'm going to go with February of 2021. And the reason is because Verizon always seems to do something in February.
Super Bowl, I
They
think, was what they
Yeah,
did last year.
I
So
don't know what they're doing, but
yeah,
it seems like their time. It's like some artists like to drop albums in the summer, like every June. They're working all winter and they put this album. I think Verizon's working and they're cooking up something right now,
yeah.
and it'll be ready in February.
Like someone at Verizon had to have the same thoughts that we just had. Like, wait a minute. Our network gets better if we do this. Like,
Yeah,
so,
exactly. But I maybe it's like you said, but they if you look at the root metrics, they're scoring very well.
yeah,
So it must not be that bad, but I think any little bit helps. Just
yeah,
having that capacity, putting, especially in the cities that have the millimeter wave, you really should push it. In fact, I always joke with the guys, when we talk on the podcast, if I was Verizon, I would be doing whatever it takes to get phones into people's hands that have millimeter wave phones, or that have millimeter wave access in their city.
yeah,
So, like, I would have initiatives and programs in the Boston market, in the Cleveland area market, in Dallas, any market that has millimeter wave. Buy one, get one, S20 Plus. I mean, that's an expensive phone. And
yeah,
you might be like, well, maybe we can't really afford that. That's not very business. Well, who cares? Like, they're on your network paying for service. You're also going to be addressing network congestion by
yep,
trying to get them on these other 5G connections. So it's got to help,
I think the lifetime value of those subscribers would also be pretty high because
Absolutely.
we're at the point right now where honestly, if you have a new flagship from the last 2 years, you don't need to upgrade. Like it's doing everything you need to do probably just fine. If you're giving people S20 plus 5G with millimeter wave access, they're not only going to be happy, they're going to be set for the next 3 to 4 years, probably increasing their value on the Verizon network.
That's true. MT Houston, Texas, appreciate the super chat. He says hello, no questions, but he's just being awesome and donating. Thank you for that, MT Houston, Texas. We also have Firewolf Studios, one of my biggest supporters, man, recently, man. It's good to have you as part of the community. Thanks for coming on, and thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. Another thing that I'd also like to say when it comes to, network access and stuff like AT&T, they just recently said everybody gets 5G. Yeah, I think that's the way it has to be. 5G is the next. It's the next generation of technology. It's not something that really people need to be paying for. I've called Verizon out on this before.
Yeah.
The charge just doesn't make sense. It just does not fundamentally make sense on that level. So I've always had a problem with it. I had to pay to use it because of my older plan.
Oh, no way.
So it's a $10
You're
add-on.
a loyal customer.
But here's what it did for me. And plus I got to test it, right? My content, I was making videos on it.
Oh, it's so great. Yeah.
Right. And then it also gave me full HD video res. So it upgraded 2 features for me. I had no idea that it did that. So it was like a cool perk. Everything all of a sudden was 1080p, quad HD, 4K, whatever the device could do. I was getting it. And but yeah, that's kind of annoying. I hope that does change very soon, which I think it will.
I think T-Mobile, like their 5G definitely needs work because they basically just have it everywhere, but the performance isn't what you'd expect from a 5G network. But I appreciate that everyone who had T-Mobile access, prepaid, MVNO, postpaid, you just instantly got 5G access on T-Mobile, no extra fees. Like that is the way I think 5G should be rolled out for all networks.
The truth of the matter is, when it comes to T-Mobile 5G, the reason they couldn't charge for that 5G access is because it's not good enough. It's literally horrible. We were talking about the channel width, right? So we're talking about how much spectrum is there. It's too skinny. We're talking about a 5 megahertz channel in some markets. In some markets it's 10, in some it's 15. But there's no generational leap in customer network experience that would say, I need this.
Yeah.
So you can make an argument, Stetson, that you would refuse to pay for T-Mobile's 5G access. You would say, there's no way I'm going to pay a $10 add-on, right?
Right.
There's no way.
T-Mobile should be paying us. That's what should be happening.
That's a zinger right there. Now, the Verizon one, they shouldn't be charging people either. Don't get me wrong. I'm a consumer advocate, so I'm with you there. But it's 1.5 gigs per second. It doesn't count against your usage. Unlimited tethering on it. Yep. Like there's a reason to get it. Like you could do so much with it. I connected 10 devices simultaneously to my millimeter wave phone on Verizon.
No way.
And I connected all of them to quad HD video. And they all were getting 300 megabits per second.
Wow.
To show you the bandwidth and the potential. Like it's incredible. So to me, I can get excited about that. It's really hard for me to get excited about 5 megahertz spectrum and these skinny channels and the limited bandwidth. But what I will say is with mid-band, more auctions up and coming, the carriers getting more of this, it'll change the game. Like it's just, but I don't buy into marketing. I actually buy the stuff. And I actually test the network, but T-Mobile's going to market their low band 5G everywhere. And actually it's false. So I went ahead and I surveyed the entire CLE. I did like 6 or 7 routes.
Wow.
And I covered as much of the city as I could.
What are you doing for this? Are you just like, you have your phone, you're connecting to T-Mobile?
And I turn on Cell Mapper.
Yep.
And I turn on what's the other app that I turn on? The NPerf. So that way it charts everything. And that way other users can see it. So every 4th or 5th site has band 71. So what they're saying, it's nationwide, it's actually wrong. They're just putting enough of it in these little spots to say we got it here in this
Oh,
city, we got it here.
wow.
So they're not. But this is wireless America. This
Dude,
is what this is. AT&T lies on its coverage maps.
Yeah.
You know, T-Mobile lies about coverage. They just lie, and it's a standard. It's a standard in wireless to lie, because Stetson will get a map. AT&T is supposed to have coverage here. He's looking around. He's like, I got no signal here. The map says it's blue. You know, it's not. This is wireless. It's what it is.
True. So true. Yeah, I really wish that would change about this industry, and I don't know what it would take for that to change. But I really hope it does. And I would love to see like more accurate third-party maps too. I love what RootMetrics is doing and what Speedtest is doing, and I love seeing those reports. So I think that's great, and getting community members to share their results is awesome too.
Yeah. That's
what did you think of the 5GE that AT&T is trying to pull? That was bad. Like,
it is bad.
That's like bad. Worse than what T-Mobile did. Like, T-Mobile it's not great, but like to just slap a 5G logo on LTE, that's misleading.
So whenever I connect to 5G on my phone, it's really fast.
It's
but
true.
It is not 5G.
I had the same experience. I got it, and I was like, this is actually pretty good. Like, great speeds.
Yeah.
But it's not 5G, and that's So
it's the 5GE. The name is awful because it's implying that it's 5G, but it's really advanced LTE with multiple carrier bands aggregating. It's really good, but they should just call it 4G++ or something. I don't know. Come up with something that is more like LT++. Or Ultra, LT Ultra. They could have called it.
There you go. So it needs to be more authentic to what it truly is. And I think this industry is full of marketing and fluff. And I think, the major providers are guilty of this. And I think there's a lot of prepaid carriers, especially, that are kind of guilty of this too. The one that comes to my mind is Hello Mobile. You'll see Instagram ads for unlimited for $25 a month, but it's a 15 gig plan.
Wow.
Right. So it's like,
wow.
Like, I don't know, like there's a point where sure, maybe it feels like unlimited for enough people. So I kind of get it. And like everyone else is doing it, but it's just so disgusting. And what the industry is doing with that. It really needs to be people. I think need to know how much data they actually use. And then carriers need to say how much is included with the plan.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things that could be, I don't know, that could be renovated within wireless for consumers. I think one of the things is the type of plans. You talk about what customers actually use and what they could be paying for.
Yeah.
But I think the other side is, when you talk about the marketing, it's one thing to market, and it's also one thing to exaggerate. But so much of it is just bold-faced lies.
Yeah.
So the coverage maps are lies. The FCC says, all right, AT&T and T-Mobile, you guys need to start, paying somebody to do these maps because you've been lying. And they're like, no, we don't want to pay anybody to do it. That's expensive. We don't want to do it. That's expensive. And it's true, right? You're going to have to pay people to go and chart everything, collect the data, and then construct the maps. And they don't want to do it. But the reason we have this problem is because you can't do it right on your own, right? You've put the FCC to force the issue, and that you're lying. So if you would do it right when you just build your network correctly, we wouldn't be having this issue.
Yeah, exactly. And I to some degree see where the carriers are saying, like, if they just took the money that it would take to map their networks and made the networks better and built out more sites, I think that would be great. I would love to see that. But yeah, I think it's kind of a disaster all around in that particular regard.
Yeah, and then you have like the terminology for the unlimited plans. So my experience with Verizon is their data deprioritization. As long as their network can handle it in a place, they'll give it to you. It'll be a good experience.
Okay.
AT&T works the same way. T-Mobile does too. the prepaid carriers, because they're paying for access, right? They're not host their network.
Yeah.
That's where things get a little touchy in the network. Once you get to that threshold, it becomes unbearable or unusable. So I think it's even more touchy to that. So when they advertise unlimited, it's like, whoa, man, I need to blow up that fine print. I need to read, like, because it's
Every
not
line.
really,
I
it's
know.
not cutting it, man. Now for people that have multiple lines of access, like Stetson, I would believe that you have more than one active line of service. Am I right?
This is true. I can share. So I have one line of Tello personal lines on Mint Mobile. I have a second line on Mint Mobile because I did do a Mint Family video.
Mm-hmm.
I have one Visible, and I've got two on US Mobile, but one is snoozed right now, so you can just like kind of park your number there.
Got you.
I was actually waiting for these new plans to come out to test them, so I'll probably light that up on US Mobile's Verizon to test that out.
I have to ask you, because you are the authority.
Sure.
Which prepaid carrier do you feel offers the best value?
That's a really great question.
So let's actually frame this right. Single user, right? So let's leave family plans out of this.
Yep.
Single user, who's got it going on right now when it comes to value and prepaid?
Okay. I'll try and hit one on every network. How about that? So I think on the Verizon network, Visible has basically been unstoppable. The $25 per month flat, all taxes, all fees included, that's unprecedented. The experience, as you've mentioned, it can be hit or miss depending on the market and what the cell site is handling at that time. So like the biggest caveat is in some markets, it's absolute trash. Like it's unusable.
Yeah.
But in markets where it does work, for me, I was kind of in the suburbs outside of Boston, never had any problems with it. I just did a video on Yahoo Mobile, which is the same plan as Visible, and I got like 50 up and like 50 down and like 10 to 15 up just here, just
Very
for
good.
a demo. And like, it's great. Like it works well for me. And that price point is unbeatable. So, some caveats there. I try and tell people just to sign up and try it out. You can get the first month for $25 and, $25 when most plans are like $80 is like, that's worth it in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think the value that Visible offers is great. It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
On the T-Mobile side, I like Mint Mobile because they include all the features: visual voicemail, voice over LTE, Wi-Fi calling, mobile hotspot. I love that. Like, I hate that Cricket, for example, just doesn't offer the mobile hotspot with their lower tier plans. So I'm a big Mint Mobile person, and I think the bulk pricing is great for people who can do that model. If you're monthly, like, don't do Mint Mobile. It's not for you.
Yeah.
So that's Verizon, that's T-Mobile. AT&T, I think I'm going to have to go AT&T prepaid at this point. I think they really killed it with their auto pay discount. It was like a $25 discount. So their unlimited plan is $50 a month. I think that's a great deal. I'm pretty sure you're getting postpaid priority with that too. I don't know if that's been really confirmed, but yeah,
it's not really postpaid priority. It's just that their network has so much capacity.
Yeah.
That there's just very little slowdown. I had a prepaid MVNO of AT&T and I used 200 gigs of data in a month and it never slowed down.
Amazing.
Ever. And it was like 100, 200 megabits all over the city. So the network is so strong in the CLE area.
Yeah.
So that's why. Now, if it was in a market where the congestion was an issue, clearly lower on the priority, you're going to feel it.
Yeah. I was a big fan of Cricket for families. I was in a Cricket family for quite a while. I met them on Reddit, and I paid my share of the plan. It was like $25. So I was like, sick. This is amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then Sprint's kind of gone, but if you're in the market, I really like Tello. Like their prices are awesome, and I think they offer really good value. They support a lot of the features you're looking for, like support for the mobile hotspot. And they also have really great international calling if that's something you're into. But I think those are my picks right now. I mean, there's so many options out there. It's kind of hard, and you do need to do the research based on your specific needs. But I think those are great places to start.
Thanks, John, for the super chat. He says 5GE is the shiznit. The naming definitely isn't.
No, not
But
the naming.
the
The network will give
naming
it
is
to you.
it's deception, in my opinion. Kathy M, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate you, Kat. I was gonna offer mine, man, and like I was gonna say Visible's where it's at for Verizon. I mean,
Yeah,
on any level, I think it's number one. Number two, I was gonna say AT&T prepaid. Chances are that will be the best experience for cellular connectivity.
that's probably true.
If that's the area, right? You're good. The capacity is there. The features are there. It's just strong. It's such a strong option.
I'm pretty sure you can get AT&T prepaid on eSIM too for
Yes.
anyone with those
Yes.
phones, and that's huge. Like
It is.
that
It
needs
is
to be
really
pushed
nice.
way more. I am blown away that
Wait for Visible to get it, man.
I think it's happening. I actually
think so too.
I think it's happening.
Because they don't have stores.
Yeah.
So like
no.
you need eSIM actually to really encourage that
If I could
service, you know.
tap sign up, you're gonna get so many more customers.
Straight
Do
up,
it.
man. Yeah.
We're gonna see it. All right. So those are the first two. What are the next couple you got?
The T-Mobile side, I think Metro is a huge bargain. I think you get a lot with Metro. You get tethering,
Yep.
you get Amazon Prime, you get Google
Yeah.
One storage. I mean, I feel like there's a lot there in terms of value. So to me, it's nice, especially if you go multi-line, right? Because
Yeah,
they'll
we're
do
talking
like
single line.
yeah. So single line does change that. So
Multi-line, I fully support that. I think
yeah,
that's you bundle those together with those
Yeah.
services, it can be a great value. I strongly dislike they charge the device upgrade fee and like a bunch of other weird fees that have no right to exist, but
but they're trying to get it that way, one customer at a time. That's
they are a really good value for families.
Yeah.
Or
Yep,
if you need unlimited too.
Yeah. I really do like the Visible and the I do like Mint also. You got to be okay with a couple of things. But if you're cool with them, like you talk about the threshold,
Yeah.
of usage, you got to be good with that. So
Yeah,
Visible they don't track anything.
Yeah.
You are literally, your data is your data. That is all. It does not matter if you are, tethering, if you're using it for video, it does not matter, which is why it makes it so unique.
It's so true.
And I also feel strongly about the AT&T prepaid. They're clearly the top two. They're in a tier of their own at the top.
Yeah.
And then I think the rest of them kind of fall into place after that. In terms of family plans, Metro's got something good. Man, I don't know. I used to like Boost, before they kind of changed their plan access.
Yeah.
So they were up there because they had Tidal, and they had Hulu, and they had all this hotspot. Like there was all these promos, like 3 for $100, 4 for $100. It was like, what,
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yep. And trying to think of who else was really good with family stuff. But those were always the ones that I thought about when I thought of value prepaid. Those were kind of. Yeah.
I really liked Cricket's family plans. I love taxes and fees included.
Cricket's very good. Yeah.
Yeah. And I really I think with their top tier plan, they got rid of all speed caps, I believe. So
that's nice.
Yeah. I think it's like 15 gigs of hotspot and full speed. So that's probably going to be my go-to on AT&T. It depends. I'd probably try and crunch the numbers on what AT&T prepaid is offering if they're doing multi-line discounts with that. And I think US Mobile is doing some really interesting things too. So I'm going to try and test them out and see what the access is like. I think it'll be similar to Verizon prepaid, but what they're doing is if you get 3 or 4 lines of their unlimited plan, so it's unlimited, it starts at, you get 50 gigs to be clear. So it's a 50 gig plan and it is at 5 megabits per second. Now you can pay to have that speed cap lifted. I think it's an extra $5 a month for that.
Okay.
But so they have multi-line discounts and with 4 lines, they will give you 2 subscription services on them and you choose which one. The way they do this is they confirm your subscription status and reimburse you for the value of the service.
And what qualifies?
That's a great. So they have a huge list on their website. I mean, it's
that's incredible.
This is the brilliance of their marketing is they don't need to like work with any of these companies at all. They just reimburse the service at the value.
Wow.
I thought that was clever.
If you're using Netflix,
yep, Netflix
if
is
you're
on
using Hulu, if you're using what's another one? Peacock?
there. Nope. I definitely don't think.
Okay.
So, all right, here. So they have 3 categories: music, video, gaming.
Okay.
Now, with 4 lines, you pick 2 have to be from different categories.
Okay.
But it's pretty reasonable. Music, you're looking at Slacker Plus, LiveX Live, Pandora Plus, Audible, Spotify Family, Apple Music Family.
Nice. That's good value.
Good value. For video, Apple TV Plus, Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus, Netflix Standard, HBO Max.
They got something going on with Verizon there because they have that Disney bundle in there.
Yeah, that could be true. That could be true. Gaming, you're looking at PlayStation Plus, Xbox Live Gold, which I personally wouldn't get. I think Microsoft is changing that up. Stadia Pro, Apple Arcade. So those are the perks.
That's pretty dang on nice, man.
That's
wow. Nevion, thank you for the $2 super chat, and Alex, thank you for the $5 super sticker. Appreciate it very much. I didn't know about the company doing so much because here's what's starting to happen. You said it very early. The networks are getting hard to distinguish.
Yeah.
And even as you're using them, the access, you're like, oh, I feels like I just tested this network, right? Like, so how do you distinguish yourself is with features, right? With add-ons, perks, benefits. You got to sweeten the pot, as the final frontier in wireless, right? So
absolutely,
that's what they're doing. They're sweetening the pot, man.
Yeah. So I like what they're doing. I would, I think I would recommend just trying out their service. I think what they've built is technically, from a technical standpoint, awesome. Their mobile application, their user interface, it's like a tech company that happens to be operating in the MVNO space.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It's really cool. Do I wish they were more upfront about some of their fees? Yeah, absolutely. To be clear, there's a $2 service fee per line, and they will charge taxes and fees on top of that, which makes some of these prices they're listing on their website a little bit more than
and less attractive, right?
It's a little bit less attractive. It's still a very reasonable value, I think, in the Verizon prepaid space, but certainly not as competitive as the first impressions would make it seem.
Would you consider it a premium prepaid option? Like, is there such a tier? Premium prepaid?
That's a great question. I think it's like if you're signing up for a prepaid plan, I personally think US Mobile will give you one of the better experiences with the application, the support, and just like they have such a pretty website. And like if you go to a website like I think TrackPhone, all of their carriers, they have the same like copy paste website template.
Yeah,
awful,
cookie cutter stuff, right?
Horrible website. Boom Mobile. They need to update their website. It's like from 2005. It looks awful. So
Stetson was running around in his size 3 shoes back then, when they built that website.
Well, it hasn't changed. That's what I know.
Wow.
And it's just so bad. So I really appreciate what US Mobile has done in this space. And I think they're a really interesting carrier, and I will definitely be crunching the numbers to see like what the cost comes out to in my full review of them.
Nice. Look forward to that, guys. Match 1164 with the $2 super chat. Appreciate it. Feye is good, but data per gig is a killer for me. So you're more of a traditional unlimited customer in that case. They do offer an unlimited plan, but it's not as competitive.
22 gigs.
Right. So access isn't as competitive. The cost also, I think it's over $70.
Yeah, dude, they're expensive. They're great specifically right now. If you're, paying per gig and you're at home on Wi-Fi all the time, that's awesome. And they're phenomenal for international. The plan basically just stays the same, $10 per gig, even international, which is unheard of.
Yeah, it's great. Whenever my parents go on vacation and they go overseas, they take the Google Fi with them, and they just let it ride. They don't have to worry about anything.
Yep. It's perfect.
Thanks, Carlos. Appreciate the comment. He said top cricket plan is capped at 86 megs.
That is so interesting. That is such a like, who thought of that? Like,
I like to think it's a percentage of bandwidth, but
that'd be interesting.
I guess you'd have to collect data from many different markets to see.
Carlos,
they're
I love
doing.
this. I feel like I would love to review Cricket sometime, and I would love to try and get some more data and see what happens here. And I think millimeter wave access, no millimeter wave, you're saying, only on low band 5G. And I think you have to buy the Cricket phone. I'm pretty sure
It has to be an S20 Plus
from Cricket.
from Cricket.
That is the worst.
Which Stetson, let's be honest, how many people, Cricket customers, are into spending the $1,200 up front on that device?
Who thought of that?
I mean, it's a head scratcher, man. Seriously. Yeah, Cricket kept at 86 by 20 and only low band 5G. Thanks for the donation, Carlos. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, he's a big contributor here on the channel. He's a part of the community.
Yeah.
I will give you his contact information, Stetson. He tests everything.
Dude, yeah,
Every
Carlos,
device, every plan. I will let you
on Twitter live streaming some speed tests. I was like, wow, this is awesome. I should be doing this probably.
Well, get on the streams, Stetson. You let me know. I mean, this is a rabbit hole, bro. Like the network access stuff is an absolute like endless, field of testing.
I love what you did with the T-Mobile breakdown. Like that blew my mind. That was based on like the category of what you were doing on the network.
Yeah. And you know what? And people told me that I don't know what I'm talking about, but I got that documentation from T-Mobile engineering.
Really?
Yes. That was from an engineer.
Wow.
And people are telling me I don't know what I'm talking. Do you get people saying weird things in your comments or your videos?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on the video, but like, yeah.
Like they question your credibility. They say you don't know what you're talking about. You're a liar. Da, da, da. Like they're like, no, I'm like, I don't even know what to say.
You just, whatever. You move on.
Oh my God. What's up, Keemon? Appreciate the super chat, man. Yeah. That's my thing, by the way, Stetson.
Okay.
That's what I do. Yeah. That's like it's like a trademark. All right. So I really don't know what else we need to cover. I always kind of like, leave things open at the end. I mean, anything that anybody out there would like to ask Stetson, I will be screening these questions. So we're not going to ask him personal business, but if there are things you guys would like to know about his channel, the different things that he does in terms of his content, maybe there's some wireless access questions you want to ask or prepaid carrier questions, I'm sure he'll field a couple. I tried to ask as many as I could think of that were worth asking. I didn't want to waste his time. What's your favorite color? I don't need to ask you that, but thanks for stopping by, Stetson. Love your channel. So that's from Ricky. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
It looks like you're going to be a friend of the SMT Nation because they love you, man. They already know. I didn't surprise anybody. They're like, oh, it's Stetson. You're on a first name basis with everybody, man. Gene gave a super chat. That's not showing in StreamYard. See,
I might have a Gene G Tech. I see that 7:38 p.m.
Oh, here it is. Got it. Thanks, Gene. Appreciate the super chat, brother.
We got
you. TJ, good to see you too. Awesome, man. Thank you. Yeah, man. I don't know. Sometimes this stuff just flies. Maybe I don't know. We got 153 in the live, so there's a lot of you guys. Appreciate you being here. Please give the video a like, share if you feel compelled to. That helps the channel out quite a bit. Cash Games, what's up, sheep? Stetson, I've been watching your channel for several years. Fire.
Hopefully it's gotten better. Like I go back sometimes and watch the old stuff. I'm like, oh my God, I hit upload on this. But yeah.
AT&T prepaid by far lets you access full network. I even get same millimeter wave access as the AT&T Elite QCI 6 priority, and they even offer family plan options. Yeah, AT&T prepaid is where it's at, man.
Yeah,
that is really solid access.
Thanks
for the super chat, Los. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Should we go through
super chat?
Oh, you have some more super chat. Go through those. Yeah,
I'm trying. Here's one from John Stetson. Which plan are you really on?
John, great question. I actually am on Mint Mobile. Like it's the Mint Mobile 3 gig plan. It's the cheapest. I'm on Wi-Fi all the time. Wow. So I'm paying $15 a month, sign up for a year. And I was actually trying their referral system. So like full disclosure, I'm part of the partner program there. So if you sign up using qualifying links and make a purchase, then I'll earn commission on that. But when I did like an app overview, like how to use this application, it was like only a few people are going to watch this. So I'll just put my just personal referral link to see what it's like. And if you get like 5 people to sign up, they'll give you credit for a year of service.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, I'm personally on Mint Mobile because it's the best value for my needs. And again, I like the full feature service they're offering. If I was to choose another plan, I'd probably be US Mobile or Visible.
Yeah, Visible's big time. I didn't want you to think that I was just making up those numbers about Visible. So
Dude,
I'll
he's
share with
not.
you a speed test. This is in my basement. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and run the speed test. This is Visible. All right, so typically people would see like a speed of like, I don't know, a prepaid carrier about 10, 20 megs per second, 30. This is one of my slowest speed tests I've ever gotten on Visible.
You're in a basement.
I'm in a basement. It's getting 75
Here,
megs.
I want to contribute to this too.
Is this Visible right here?
Yeah, this is Visible. So you can see Visible down there. Everything is backwards about this video.
There you go. Finally connected to a server, man. Ping's probably through the roof. That's pretty good too, Stetson.
127.
That's pretty good.
Dude, it's great. I mean, it's not perfect. I just think the value Visible is offering right now is
incredible.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And it's got some quirks. You know, it's only on the LTE portion of Verizon, but they're a good value.
Let me give a special shout out to a friend of mine, fellow creator, Jacob. Thank you for the super chat, man. Appreciate the bomb dono, man. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it very much, dude. I've been trying to get on your live streams, man. I've been swamped, dude. I miss getting on your shows, man. What Jacob does on Billet TV is he does channel promotion. So Stetson, I highly recommend head over to his channel. I'll send a link to you. I'll even tweet it out or retweet his. He promotes other YouTube channels. He'll go through your entire, page. He'll play a video for his entire community of who's watching and get you that additional exposure for your content.
That's great.
And he's a really nice guy, bro. He's a very nice guy. And he's got an incredible business. And this is what he does. And he's kind of changed the format a little bit where he's doing more in terms of content on his channel and where you can actually become a creator on his channel. So you're making content and he's got a couple of different avenues when it comes to you generating revenue through his channel.
Wow.
So and like I said, I highly recommend him because I find him to be very trustworthy. He's a man of good business. Everything up front, everything straight up. What do you want better in business? So
yeah, exactly that.
So yeah, I'll definitely I'll be tweeting it and sending you a DM to check it out because I think it'll be great for your channel too.
Appreciate it. Love this community.
Dude, I legit think I have the best community on YouTube. These are some of the nicest, kindest people. I don't really have trouble. It's kind of nice, bro. Like you get the occasional weird comment, like I was talking about earlier.
Everyone does.
But for the most part, man, they're good people. Thanks, Jacob. Appreciate you, man. Do check out Billet TV, everyone. A guy that I do promote heavily. Carlos says, do you have port issues with Visible? They disconnected my line yesterday. I can't recommend porting number to Visible. Just start fresh. I have to wait for a new SIM with a new number. So basically, he lost the number he ported.
Dude, Carlos, sorry about that. That's a headache and really frustrating. I did a video. I was a little nervous about this, to be honest, going into it, because I've seen on Reddit people will say they'll do ports and maybe like 3 out of 5 super smooth, no problems, and 2 out of 5 like absolute dumpster fires. And this has been hit or miss. I did a video on how to sign up for Visible, full activation guide. You can watch it. I go through the full process. I ported a number, went through totally fine, so I didn't have that problem. I did have a problem when I tried to pull a number out of Visible. This is partly my fault because the service had disconnected like 2 months ago. But I got an email from the system like, hey, if you want to take this number, you can. And I tried to, and that did not work. So you need to have active service. But no, I did not have a problem with it. I know that's an issue, I think, with the way their network technology and infrastructure is set up, that for whatever reason, it seems to have an issue. And it's
also really hit or miss.
Tangent. I'd love to know like what happens when you port a number. Like,
Where
is
does
there
it
some
go?
like ancient archaic system like built on top of something else, like hacked together to make that happen? It just needs to be better. That's the bottom line. But yeah, sorry about that, Carlos. I didn't have a problem, but I know it's like hit or miss with them.
I didn't have a problem porting either, but I have seen it. I have seen the porting issues from, friends and family and community members. They're like, I can't get my number back. I don't know what's happening. They was stuck for days and all this other stuff. And if that's your main line, you're in trouble.
Yeah,
And that's why I think Carlos was saying that, start fresh with a new number.
Yeah, that's the best way to have a great experience with a carrier.
Yeah. Yep. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it. I hope everything is good with the fam. I know you got the little one. I know you got the wife and everybody. I hope it all is well, man. So it is good to see you. Let's see here. Yeah, going through the rebrand on the channel. We will bear with you. We ain't going nowhere, man. We got your back like chiroprac. Brian, thanks for the super chat, buddy. Appreciate that very much. I think I'm caught up with all that stuff. Anyways, I don't want to keep you too long, Stetson. We've been on for it's like an hour and 20 minutes. Yeah. So that's a long time. I want to thank you for coming on. If anybody wants to know more about prepaid wireless when it comes to plans, features, and pricing, I do not think there is anybody as comprehensive as Stetson. So check him out on YouTube. Stetson Doggett, right there. You see the banner at the top. Solid creator. Very nice gentleman. He reached out to me. I didn't have to go hunting for him. All right. So it tells you that the guy is active within the communities. I could tell you right now that I've never felt misled watching your videos. So the content is solid, Stetson. So thank you for that.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. Stetson, go ahead and plug yourself one more time, man.
Yeah. Hey, youtube.com/Stetson Doggett, bestphoneplans.net. If you like a website, my goal is to help people save money on service, find an affordable plan, and to just help understand the industry as a whole and what you're actually getting with your service. So check it out if you're interested. I cover the best cheap plans, value plans, prepaid plans, MVNOs. If you're looking for a new plan or maybe a great deal on service, consider checking it out. Appreciate it.
Stetson, you are now officially a friend of the show. You are welcome anytime to come on. You just tell me when, and I will send you the invite. If you want to do any collabs, that's always out there on the table. You just let me know, dude.
Sweet. I super appreciate it.
All right. I want to just do a couple of things. I want to thank everybody who provided a super chat and made donations. You guys are amazing. You don't have to do that, but it always, surprised me how generous you all are. Thank you for that. I want to thank all my moderators, #ModSquad, for holding it down, the big blue wrenches in the chat. Thank you to all who commented. Thank you to all my viewers, all my subscribers, everybody who hit the like button. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. There's a link for the Patreon page in the description box, the @SneedTech Twitter handle, in case YouTube isn't getting the notifications out there well enough. There's some other stuff in there too. We got the audio only podcast. I'd be, definitely look to see if I can get Stetson on one of those. So we'll look into that and we'll check some other things out. And again, Stetson, you are the best, man. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'd love to be back.
Yeah, we'll do it, man. All right, y'all. Take it easy. Have a good night. And we out of here. Peace.